In this short video, we will get Elasticsearch and Kibana up and running in our Ubuntu system. But we will be taking a slightly not so traditional route. So all the documentation that you might need to get Elasticsearch and Kibana up and running on your local system is available in the documentation, and you guys can easily do that. But I'd highly encourage you guys to go through it. But today, I'd like to take a slightly different approach to it, and I would like to introduce you guys to Docker Compose, which is one of the best tools to run multi-container applications very easily, to get to speed with development very easily and very fast. So for our installation today, we will be using Docker Compose. So this is the GitHub repo of Docker Compose. You can read about Docker Compose here, that it is a tool for defining and running multi-container Docker applications. So you write a Docker Compose file, which is somewhat similar to this. Here they're using two things. One is web, the other thing is Redis. Web is just a small Python app that they have written and taken as an example, and Redis is, it's used for caching, so they use the Redis image. And by saying Docker Compose up, they can bring both these components up. So imagine a very complex environment where you have so many tools and so many different components talking to each other. So Docker Compose can really help us, really simplify the installation process. So if I go here and find the releases of Docker Compose, I'll see that 1.27.4 is the latest version, and here are the assets, the binaries. So I'll pick the one which suits me, which is Linux. I'll copy this and I'll go to my terminal. In my terminal, I will say curl minus L, then I will type the name of the binary, and I will give where I want it to be copied, which will be USR local, which is for my local user in the binary directory under the name of Docker Compose. So this binary will be curled and stored in my local machine by the name USR local bin in this directory by the name of Docker Compose. When I press enter, okay, so it tells me writing failed because I did not say sudo. And I have sudo, so writing will succeed, and we will have the Docker Compose binary in our local machine and ready to use it. Oh, great. So what happens if I say Docker Compose now? Oh, permission denied because I did not give it executable permissions. So I simply say chmod plus x on slash usr local binary docker compose, but then again I need to do it with sudo. I do it with sudo, and there you go. So what happens when I say docker compose now? Yeah, so there we have it. Docker compose command is up and running. Now we come to what we actually wanted to do, which is to install Elasticsearch and Kibana in our local machine. So in this empty Docker directory, I have created a file called docker-compose.yml, and it needs to be named like this. Its name needs to be docker-compose.yml, so that we can later on run docker compose space up command, and that command recognizes only this file name. So now let me quickly start typing the contents of this file. As of now, the latest version which this understands is 3.7. It's like versioning, like we have similar to in HTML. So everything has its own versions. Now, what are the services that we want in this? So firstly, it will be Elastic Search, and then what we would want is Kibana. Now, these are like variable names for your reference, and you can call them anything. You could call this ES or anything, but in this case, we will be calling it Elasticsearch. Okay, so for Elasticsearch, now I need to specify the image that I wish to use, and in this case, that image will be Elasticsearch, and I will then specify the latest version, which is 7.9.2. And sorry about that, that's my bad. Yeah, so let me just show you something quickly. In the meantime, if I go to my terminal and say docker search Elasticsearch, so it will show me all the repos which are named Elasticsearch. But the one which has an official OK is the official repo that we are looking for, and it is the one that is maintained by the official Elastic company. So this is the one we are looking for. We specify the version in front of it. Then whenever the containers will run, they will have some ports. Oh, by the way, if you guys are not so familiar with Docker, you guys can check out my tutorials on Docker. And just a couple of videos will help you come to speed, and they can lay a good foundation as to what Docker is and why we use it and how to quickly use Docker and understand about it. So I encourage you guys to check them out. So here we will specify port numbers. You might have seen something like 9200 colon 9200. So what is this? This is our the port of our local machine, and this is the port of the container in which this will run. So containers are essentially like lightweight VMs that can be carried here and there. So that container also has a port 9200, and our machine also has a port 9200. So whenever we will give any request, send any request to localhost 9200, it will be forwarded to the 9200 port of this Elasticsearch container. Okay. So for now, let's just keep it simple, and let's also add the images for Kibana, which will be Kibana colon, and versioning is the same 7.9.2, not 22, only 2. And similarly, we forward the ports, which are 5601 colon 5601. Cool. Let's quickly head to our terminal and see what happens when I say docker compose up. Oh, in this file docker-compose.yml, service Elasticsearch must be a mapping, not an array. Okay, so I made a small mistake here. It is a mapping, and this hyphen suggests that it is an array, and we don't want an array out here. And we do not want an array out here as well. So yeah, we come back to our terminal and say docker compose up. So it is recreating Elasticsearch and starting Kibana. So if you guys have not done this before, then what will happen is that it will fetch both of these images, and then it will do the same process. So that process is a little time consuming. It takes around 10 minutes with my connection because the images are like huge in size. So I have skipped that part and already kept the images downloaded, but you need not worry. Your same Docker Compose file will work in your case. So here we see that we have faced an error. Elasticsearch exited with exit code 78. So we see two errors over here. Bootstrap checks have failed. It says max virtual memory areas is too low. Increase it to 262144. We'll just do that for you. And in the logs, we also see that the default discovery settings are unsuitable for production use. At least one of these must be configured. So to solve error number 2, I have to do something really simple. I go here and I specify the environment. And here I say in an argument that discovery type is single node, that essentially We are not running a multi-node cluster here. We are only running a single node cluster. So this bootstrap check won't be there because essentially Elasticsearch expects to run in a production setting where it is distributed and it wants some seed hosts, some providers, initial master nodes, and all of it to be configured. But we can skip that using this environment variable. As for the other error, this is so essentially a process can have a maximum of these many memory map areas, but Elasticsearch wants more. So what we can do very easily here is we can say sys ctl minus wvm dot max map count equal to whatever it desires. Again, we forgot to run that with sudo. So what we'll do is run it like this again. And yeah, so our max memory count is increased. And if you guys are more interested, you can read more about these OS concepts from somewhere and teach me as well more in detail. So what we'll do here is we'll again say docker compose up. Okay. So this attaching essentially means that we will be live streaming the logs from the STD out of these two containers into this terminal of ours. So it takes a small while to get started and let's see how it's going. So we are seeing the logs for some time. So let us quickly open another terminal and see if Elasticsearch is running. The simplest thing we can do is curl localhost 9200, which is the port of Elasticsearch. And yes, this is our Docker cluster. This is the cluster UUID, the version, the build flavor, and everything is given here. Cool. Now let us quickly check what's the status of Kibana. So I have my browser here and I type in localhost 5601 and Kibana is up and running. Woohoo! Okay, try out sample data, explore on my own. I guess not for now, Kibana. Explore on my own. So if I go to console, and it welcomes me to console and gives me a few welcome tips and search query match all, and if I just hit this, it will hit our Elasticsearch index and return us some results. So that's it for this time, and I hope you had a lot of fun learning how to use Docker Compose and how to bring up Kibana and Elasticsearch using Docker Compose. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you find the content of my channel helpful, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. That's all, folks. We'll play around more with Kibana and Elasticsearch in our future videos. Thank you.